The action takes place in a vertical prison consisting of cells stacked on top of each other, some of whom are forcibly taken there, while others go voluntarily before being transferred. Each chooses one food they are willing to eat every day and one food they are allowed to carry with them. One man is accused of trying to set a fire. His parents' house picked up a pizza and a lighter on his first day in prison. His pizza was eaten by a guy who lived upstairs when the guy tried to take other food from his neighbor and stop him by insisting that it is not allowed. You can only eat your own apartment or negotiate and trade with someone. People who eat other people's food are called barbarians, while people who defend the law are called royalists if the law is not respected. The lower level would be with no food. The man decided to take someone else's food, but the neighbor stopped him, reminding him that he was lucky to wake up at this level 24 the next month. He could find himself at the end of the platform. The board went down and the neighbor introduced himself as Perimpuan, while the other neighbor was called Zayden. The girl who came here was willing to forget what she had done. Now they would have to share. One cell defies the discomfort. One day there was a fierce protest, and it turned out that the food chain was broken at level 44, a total of 333 levels of Zatin. It was announced that tomorrow comrades from levels 19 and 20 will go down to level 21 to protect their pizza, while those from levels 42 and 43 will check in on level 4. That's how it works. The next day, there was a scuffle from above. It seemed like a serious fight was going on the 21st floor. Suddenly the platform started to move, and the neighbors from above warned that if the criminals were not dealt with, Zamayatin would have to fight them himself. But the man begged the people above to take his pizza and leave him alone. However, the platform went down, and among the pile of food there was the criminal's body. The burning body of the neighbor fell from above to the right. After Perrin throws a blanket over Burning Man, while the second neighbor from above regains consciousness and attacks the violator, but the violator soon fights back. It's all over. The unconscious violator is tied up, but everyone is still hungry. Realizing that his burned friend is dead, the neighbor above declares that it is necessary to go down to find the anointed ones. It is they who are lucky enough to meet the teacher who laid the foundation of the law. He says that the professor survived for months without food on one of the lower levels, but then he found himself at the bottom, where food did not reach. He cuts flesh from his own thigh to feed the needy people, who are anointed by him, who then begins to spread his teachings of fair food distribution. However, Zidane was not eager at all. Was the anointed one, he just wanted to eat, so why not taste a piece of the burned man? The neighbor, realizing that something terrible might happen, threw the corpse into the pit next to the neighbor, threw away the intact food, explaining that it belonged to those who died on the upper floors and therefore could not be eaten. Zamayatin wanted to take it, so he had to throw away his plate. Only in this way could justice be maintained, because the death of a comrade could not be a reward at that time. The offender regained consciousness. The neighbor said that he hoped to find her, anointed him at level 44, and after the law-abiding order fell with the violator, the days passed. Perrin and Zamayatin would live by the rules and would soon grow up. Was close enough for the girl to help him shave, and he shared his pizza with her. On the last day they were at this level, Zamayatin came to confess that he had devoted his life to mathematics, but after he learned about the existence of imaginary unity, he no longer believed in anything. So he left the university, left his family, and returned to his parents. After all, the imagination did not exist and was useless. Their conversation was interrupted by a message saying that this month food reached 170, which means a great success. The girl suggested dancing to celebrate this achievement. Next days they woke up at level 180. The food chain broke somewhere at level 169 and no one knew anything. Zamayatin hoped that the royalists would ensure order. Suddenly, a voice from below reminded him that the law is love your neighbor, explaining that his words were the result. Did not eat for 25 days at level 165. This terrified Zayden Perumin. He assured him that they survived because they respected the law, but the man reminded him that it was the 24th floor for the following days. The platform quickly became empty. Zayden began to consider voluntarily leaving, while a pen marked on the wall. One day, a head fell from above. Everyone around it was a sign that the anointed one was free from the world of Zamayatin. Barbarians felt worse and worse despite the neighbor's assurances that the law was above all and alleviated the suffering of Perumin. Took care of the man, though she even lost strength. Heads continued to fall off and Zamayatin soon weakened. News came that contact was lost. With only level 68 and 69 commands will be out soon. But the Anointed One leading the resistance calls on everyone to stand firm and find the crippled man and the squinting woman who devoured themselves at level 176 last month. There was also a level 24 offender who ate his classmate's meal. Perman realized that they were talking about Zamiatin and deceiving others by naming a completely different level. The man now insists that they follow the law to the letter, although he is sure that he would die soon. He remembered that his family thought he was undisciplined and selfish, and there he also broke the law. So, he prepared to leave. He said goodbye and asked Perrin after being released, visited his children and begged on his behalf for forgiveness. Then he burned himself and threw himself down, leaving a lighter for his neighbors. The next day, Pran woke up at level 51. The new roommate is a woman. The people living at above reported that everything is fine and there are no criminals. Perrin realizes that her neighbor is new and explains to her the rules of survival. Right after the platform, the table is lowered, but her roommate is gone. Perrin told her that she could eat only tomorrow. Later, it turned out that the barbarian lived on the 54th floor last month. He lived on the 2nd floor and ate everything he could. Perumin was ready to join him in punishing him, but she was only reminded of the rules directly adjacent to the level of the criminals fight first. She told her neighbors about the death of Zamiatin and shared his conclusion: the higher the level, the greater the responsibility, otherwise those below will die in. The morning, the prison wakes up to the cry of the infamous. The Anointed have taken measures, but not soon spare the culprit. The platform go down and suddenly Permin, the cellmate himself, holds a footboard and offers punishment. Pimon the savage accepts immediately. They go down to the next floor where their neighbors are outraged for violating such a rule, but understand the determination of the women. One of the men sends his neighbor along with them while he stays to maintaining contact. They descend to the 54th floor, where they immediately engage in battle, as Barbarian does not want to surrender without resistance. Perrin sells injured and the woman uses the foot of the bed to hit Barbarian, while his neighbor, a weak boy, looks on. A man begs Permo to let him go, claiming that he just wants to survive. She hesitates for a moment, and the platform immediately descends, taking Barbarian with it. Perron's cellmate screamed, demanding that he not go, and it became clear that she was no novice. The woman later admitted that she had been in the pit for 6 months. She believed that the law was unfair because it protected the food that she and her first cellmate entered. She always obeyed the law, but one day she found a gaunt boy and fed him food left by a dead man. Then the Anointed One arrived. His companion resisted and tried to gouge out her eyes. The woman was tied to a platform and taken to a lower level, where she was simply eaten. No one was allowed to leave. Was alive. You could only escape during the period at the end of each month. The jailers used gas to put people to sleep, and this was the only chance to go down on the appointed day. Suggests taking the weak boy with them, but then the stage goes down with the anointed blind man and his men. He gathers all the participants in the submission of the barbarian and thanks the brave women who volunteered to submit today. They all receive food and wine, but as soon as everyone starts eating, they are arrested because the rule is unbreakable. The Anointed One announced severe punishment for those who allowed women to participate in the submission, and the Perempuan and her friend had to cut off their hands. The woman protested that the protector, the law, was not to be punished, but the Anointed One reminded him that one could not break the law just by defending it. Fear kept the barbarians in check. The seemingly weak-minded young man suddenly revealed the woman's escape plan. The friends were tied up and lost their hands. Then Perrin woke up on the 72nd floor next to an old man. She advised him not to talk to anyone above or below, and he admitted that he was on the 203rd floor. Her allowed object was a knife. The girl asked to borrow. She remembered her friend said to go down to the bag, eat well despite the objections of the people above, and go down to the next floor, where Permin proposes to unite against the royalists. The lower neighbors are eager to join them. Even lower try to protect the law, but the Parmain supporters remind them that no one has the right to decide for everyone, and if they do not want to be punished by the anointed, then they must unite, because man is born free and must not obey the royalists. The dentalists are killed. The rest join Perrin as more and more people come down, and one day choose a level where they will stay and wait for the royalists. She sees among her supporters as barbarian. She let go of the one who made her lose her, took action but remained silent. In the evening, everyone rested and ate what was left, sang love to each other. In the morning, they heard the stage going down, but turned out to be empty. The blind anointed from above announced that there would be no more food for, and when they starved and would weaken, The royalists would kill them, but he would show mercy if they handed over the network leaders. Discord began between the rebels, but then everyone remembered the people sitting down. They were also the anointed people, and they could simply eat them. Looking at the people around remembered, after many years of doing hard work, she organized an exhibition sculptures depicting the cruelty of the animal world that her boyfriend came with his son and gave them to them. The boy could not sit still, and among his works there was a PA with blades for the boy's feet that tripped, and one of the blades stabbed her eye, causing the child's death. The court ruled that it was an accident of hers. The work was bought for $4 million. She went to the pit to forget what she had done because she did not want to listen to advice. At that time the stage from above came down with the anointed, and a bloody fight began. When almost everyone died, Perempuan saw Anointed injured, asked her to complete the what she started, but the girl offers to heal his wounds and feed him her own flesh. Then he will be worthy of his teacher. She needs time to forgive herself, and so she lets Perrin call his neighbor, but he refuses. It is the best month of his life, but they are their own prisoners, so the woman finds a way to leave this hell, covering her nose with pieces of cloth to avoid breathing in the sleeping gas. Meanwhile, on the 333rd floor, among the children living there, a boy is chosen. Pan pretends to be dead, hoping the cleaners will take him to a new level, from where she can escape. She is loaded onto the platform, going down to the bottom where the woman sees guards placing a child on a pile of corpses. She remembers that she must escape, but her conscience does not allow her to abandon her child forever. Tries to reach the bed, but is hit in the head, causing the woman to die. Finds herself in the afterlife, where the children act as guides for the inhabitants of this strange place towards their final destination. She can always choose to leave herself or save. The remains of the Perempuan child are surrounded by the spirits of her previous deceased comrades, as the first platform sequel to does not impose specific ideas or rules. It simply allows the audience to observe humanity at its best and worst. Here, everyone really has their own truth. This seems logical and reasonable when you are on one of the upper floors. It all makes sense when you are lower. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.